In our top story tonight, the rain has abated, but its intensity yesterday wreaked havoc on the roads, businesses, homes, and claimed a life. Today, authorities toured the severely affected areas. Crystal Hoyt was with them.
9 inches of torrential rain pounded the island yesterday, flooding several communities, rendering multiple roads impassable, and claiming the life of one man. The Barbados Police Service has identified him as 58-year-old Terry Kelman of Lower Estate, St. George.
We had a situation last night with the torrential rain where a gentleman was washed off of a bridge over there by Charles Road Bridge, and his name is Terry Kelman. The emergency services responded yesterday with large contingent from the fire service, 3 trucks and officers. The BDF was there, the Coast Guard was there, the police were there, and we were trying hard to find Terry and hopefully rescue him. We searched for him by drone, heat spectrum drones, to see if we could detect the heat signature, and his body was recovered and his family identified him this morning.
At first light, Acting Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw, Minister of Home Affairs Wilfred Abrams, and emergency personnel toured the hardest hit communities across the island, from St. Lucie to St. Peter to St. Andrew and St. Joseph, accompanied by their respective parliamentary representatives. Acting PM Bradshaw says the rain has had a significant impact.
Not just the households across the various communities, but it has also impacted the road infrastructure and all of the infrastructure, many of which is in motion in terms of ongoing road works across the Scotland district, because as most people know, we're doing a lot of mains replacements. And as a result of doing the mains replacements, you're going to see roads dug up, you're going to see trenching being done. Rains like this basically set back the road works program, but it has also, in a sense, eaten out the roadway, and you're going to see a lot of different holes which we are working feverishly now to be able to close up.
MP Colin Jordan, speaking in St. Peter, recognized the difficulties while highlighting what had worked well.
This canal did exactly what it was supposed to do. There was a video circulating saying that Speightstown has flooded, but what the video showed was the canal doing exactly what the canal was constructed to do. So that in Roundy Town, there was no flooding. In Gills Terrace, there was no flooding. Based on the volume of water that we had yesterday, both of those areas would have flooded significantly. My fear is that if we had not, as a government, built this canal about 5 or 6 years ago, that we may have had loss of life.
Flooding and land slippage were the main issues reported to the Department of Emergency Management. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Well, beyond the tragic loss of life, the flooding left dozens of households reporting damage, with some residents losing all of their possessions as their waters rose unexpectedly and swiftly. In Salters in St. George, Pastor Trevor Holder was almost too devastated to speak.
There was a lot of rain, and I noticed that there was a lot of water coming through the driveway, and then I just began to panic. And I realized that the water was kind of breaching the walls. The water is still there, still filling the apartment. I believe there's a tremendous loss because of the water line that I'm now seeing on the outside. So I believe that carries on the inside as well.
And it was a similar situation in Maycock's Terrace, St. Lucie, when a CBC team spoke to Cindy Goodridge outside of her apartment.
I was awoken by my landlord by a call telling me to get some of my stuff moved out as much as possible. I was asleep, so I had no idea what was going on. So I moved what I could, and what I couldn't, I just left there, and it's sitting in water right now. So we've been pumping all afternoon long yesterday, and now, haven't stopped yet. All my clothes, my fridge, bed, everything has to be replaced now. Lost everything. So depressed, I can't even go in to retrieve any of my stuff. I don't want to see any of it. I don't want to see that mess. I can't deal with that right now, not mentally.
Well, residents in some parts of St. George are now fearful following heavy flooding in the area last night. The rains left a slew of destruction in its wake. Our cameraman, Christopher Wood, was in the area and caught some of the cleanup. Rachelle Agard has that story.
Flooded houses, waterlogged roads and the cars underwater were the result of heavy rainfall last night. The heavy waters caused severe flooding in some parts of St. George, including Charles Road Bridge, Lower Estate and Salters, making the roads impassable. Residents today began to pick up the pieces. Over at one of the shops in Charles Road Bridge, proprietor Peter Yearwood said each year flood waters in the area continue to rise. He said his shop was under 6 or 7 feet of water.
They want to see some work down here because they know they can build a box train, cross the road, put in a grill, cross there as well to trap some of that water, and they can bore another deep well on the other side because the well on the other side working beautifully because it lately get clean. But let me tell you, you need another well because you got to cut down the force of that water and probably do some box trains a little further up. The other side, they can start the water by coming down the hill.
Salesperson at AP Variety, who gave her name as Leandra, said her sisters had to be removed from the house by an excavator.
That surf flooding is not a surf flooding that you should have in Barbados, right? That was really devastating. I never once experienced anything like this.
One lady who gave her name as Sherilyn recalls the community rallied together to rescue a woman and a baby from a submerged vehicle.
My family here and friends, it's just God that they got out safely. And in that car was a woman, and I was informed because I didn't get to meet her that she had a 3-month-old baby and the car was submerged. If you see how God placed that car there, it did not go over the brink like the other one. So, to the Barbados Fire Service, thank you so much. God bless you.
The Ministry of Transport and Works were on hand clearing the road in Charles Road Bridge, which is once again passable. Rachelle Agard, CBC News.
A small farmer in St. Andrew is counting thousands in losses after heavy rainfall destroyed his crops. Farmer Desmond Ward, who is also the parish district's emergency organization's road clearance officer, said he is yet to thoroughly evaluate the destruction, but he knows the ground has been severely impacted. Mr. Ward spoke to CBC News at Barbados, where the river overflowed and the bridge was impassable, also due to the heavy showers. Anesta Henry has that story.
All of Farmer Desmond Ward's crops at his East Coast Road St. Andrew ground have been destroyed by the heavy showers that drenched the island last night. This is a heavy blow for Ward, who was hoping to use the profits from that harvest to invest in his restaurant business.
I have planted, I have watermelons, I have cucumbers, I have pumpkins. I have things that I'm ready to reap, but as you can see of the weather, they have totally destroyed my whole ground. Here right now is mine. Drip irrigation that ends up now going towards Long Pond. The river has taken away all my whole farming in terms of things. I can't put a figure to right now in terms of estimate of the damage, but I can say for surely it's a few $1,000s in loss that I have to encounter.
Mr. Ward was unable to attend to his farm immediately because he was busy making his way through the parish, making sure debris was not blocking the roads. One of the areas the district emergency organization's road clearance officer assessed was at the Barbados Bridge, where there was some erosion due to flooding.
Doing as much road clearance as possible until other entities like MTW and other personnel comes to assist us. At present here, we have also personnel from the soil conservation with us, and they also come to assist and assess the area, as you can see. If you look at the river itself, you can see a lot of removal of the topsoil and the areas, whereas an initial assessment will be done for other personnel to see what best we can do to temporarily and permanently erect the problem that's right now at Barbados.
Resident George Vaughn and others living in the area cleared the debris from the bridge to allow vehicles to pass.
This would have occurred in the second set of rain, which would occur around 10 o'clock 11 o'clock last night, because as I was at home, I can hear the river actually roaring. So I knew that we had a considerable amount of water that would have affected the bridge to this stage. And at this stage, there's some erosion and all the pedestals that would have directed the traffic. You can see that they're all bent now. So we would have had probably roughly about 20 feet of water actually coming off of the river. You can see some is still trapped.
The East Coast Road, Lakes Bridge, and the Farley Hill were among other areas in St. Andrew affected. Meanwhile, Attorney General and Member of Parliament for St. Joseph, Dale Marshall, has clarified that the heavy rainfall caused the retaining wall at Branchbury, St. Joseph to collapse. The affected area has been cordoned off and an urgent solution is being pursued by the authorities. Onesta Henry, CBC News.
Well, Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley is calling on Barbadians to keep around their homes clean and free of debris to reduce the risk of flooding during heavy rainfall. Her appeal comes after yesterday's downpours, which caused severe flooding across central and northern parts of the island. The Prime Minister says every Barbadian has a role to play in reducing the impacts of climate change.
This is exactly what we've been talking about when we talk about the intense rain that we're not accustomed to. And this, regrettably, is part and parcel of all that we've been fighting for with respect to the climate crisis. It's going to take time for us to adjust our infrastructure. This is not something that can be done in 5 years or 7 years. This is a long-term effort. This is a marathon. But what each of us can do, we must do around our houses and around also in a strategic way with public works and infrastructure, doing the things that will minimize the damage. We can't stop the deluge and the intensity of the deluge, but we need to make sure that it can run off as quickly as it can by keeping areas clean and clear as far as possible.
And speaking about the flooding in St. George, particularly in the Charles Road Bridge area, the Prime Minister acknowledged the Ministry of Transport and Works had fallen short in how it handled debris from its cleaning.
Clearly, MTW was clearing drainage and clearing the bush for a while. Where they fell down and where I'm not happy with is that they did not move the debris having cleared it, and therefore that would have compounded the situation. As it relates to other communities, let us be real, you can't boil the ocean all at once. So that MTW, I think, has been trying to be able to deal with it, but I keep making the point, the intensity, let's look at Jamaica, the intensity that they faced. Let's look at Grenada and St. Vincent last year, the intensity that they faced. Our infrastructure built over the last 70, 80, 90 years is not built for this kind of weather.